All right, welcome back, guys, to the World Championship Series Europe Premier League as we now get into our winners match. It's going to be Nerchio versus jjakji. What are you laughing at? What happened?
I'm excited for this one, Colaris, because this is meant to be the best game of the day, and I love good games, and so I'm happy to watch this one unfold in front of us.
I'm partial to good games as well.
Everybody loves the good games.
We've certainly had quite a lot of good games to cast over the past couple of weeks, gotta say. And it's been a lot of fun. StarCraft's reaching new heights. Even Mr. Liquid Jinro reappeared. He emerged from the shadows and was like, these are really good games. And everyone had the blessing of Jinro bestowed upon them. So thanks, Jinro.
Thank you very much, my Swedish friend. All right, so before we jump into this one, make sure to go onto Twitter and hashtag WCS. And, of course, just discuss. I've tweeted out with a hashtag WCS. You guys can do one as well. I did it to talk and type and chat and cast all of you guys all at the same time. Join in the funsies on Twitter and just see who else is out there. Maybe you'll find your future boyfriend or girlfriend through a hashtag WCS. If you do, let me know.
Yes, let us know. This is ambitious. This is reaching into the depths of the internet and hoping
StarCraft's put a lot of relationships together in the past. You never know, a hashtag could do the same. I'm sure, I guarantee you, out there, somehow, some way, a hashtag has formed a relationship.
Probably.
Definitely.
Probably.
And if a WCS one happens, be sure to let me know.
I thought you were going to say something different on this, but anyway. Okay, so
It's happened.
Let's now get into our next series, guys. Habitation Station is our map for the first one. And then I think it's Frost, then Daedalus to finish up this best of 3.
So Habitation Station is definitely an interesting one to be chosen here because of the gold bases. Ideally, you'd love to go for them, but they also become your weakness as well because they're going to be massive focal points for both players, whether it be Mutalisks from Nerchio looking to hammer down into that base pretty early on, or whether it's going to be the Terran player waypointing to the Xel'Naga Tower and then starting to break down the third base, whether it be dropping on the high ground and just playing that kind of style. So overall, this definitely, if it gets past the earlier stages and we don't see any all-ins, is going to be a big focus on the gold bases, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's really important to note on Habitation Station is that standard style that you see come out from Terrans, that straight through the middle go-to very fast, because the map is deceptively small when it comes to how you expand towards one another. You're pretty much on each other's doorstep by the time you get those other bases going.
And in recent times, it's been Zerg players have actually not been expanding to the gold base because of that. Their third or fourth base has been pushed down the actual side they've spawned on. Terran players, depending on how they play, like to take the third up there. If not, fourth with a Planetary Fortress is almost unbreakable to a certain extent. But it is very important for the Terran player to establish and take control of the Xel'Naga Tower and use that as their waypoints and use that as their rally point. Because when creep spread's gone, you're going to be forced down that little narrow area around the Xel'Naga Tower. Widowmine's great, Tank's great, even if we see those.
And Zergs need to exploit the rest of the map to try and go for run-bys or maybe even a wraparound, as there is a lot of room to do that, and especially a lot of paths to extend that creep down, but you've got to be very accurate. You've got to be very active about it.
Yes.
That's certainly true. All right, so let's get into game number 1 here. We're loading up for Habitation Station. One of these players is going through to the round of 16.
That's right.
One of them has to compete again.
Yeah, compete again. But who will be joining MC and Bunny, our first 2 players from Group A? We will have a third player from Group B in just a couple of moments' time. Actually, let's have a look at the time. It won't be within the hour. That's a bit too optimistic.
What time is it?
It's 20 to 8, so not within the hour, but within a hour.
Okay.
I'd imagine.
Fantastic. All right. Well, spawning up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Terran. Representing My Insanity, it is jjakji. And up to the top right, we have our red Zerg. Representing Team Acer, it is Nerchio.
Nerchio, these 2 players combined together have earned over $180,000 playing StarCraft 2. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That really is.
What ratio do you think that is, though? $180,000 split how between these 2 guys? Have a guess.
Half and half.
Half and half?
Yes.
So like 90-ish each?
I think so.
Nerchio, 110,000, roughly.
Okay.
And then, of course, that leaves about 70 odd.
That was kind of close.
That is close. It's very similar. These 2, of course, they're the big higher earners in Group B with only, I think LiveZerg, from what I've read, is banked $7,000. decent, but not huge over the span of StarCraft, remember.
It's been like weekly tournaments, lots of monthlies, things like that.
And Showtime only 5,000.
Yeah.
But Nerchio, a big earner from the very early days when he was playing in IPL tournaments and doing well. I think he finished in second place at the first... Is it second? Yeah, second place in IPL 2, which was the online tournament that maybe I casted with Total Biscuit, and someone's going to shoot me. How do you not remember your own games? I think he played White Raw in the final. I think he played White Raw. That was his first big performance.
Yeah.
First big earnings, because that was $15,000 first place back then.
You know, now that you mention IPL, I remember these two playing against one another in the IPL Fight Club, and it was 5-4 in jjakji's favor. It was very, very close. It was a long time ago, but I recall the games. I can't believe this.
Yes, 5-4. That's right. I was actually going to bring that up next. Head-to-head, who's in the lead, Claris? And by I won't say by how much. Who's in the lead easier?
I think jjakji is.
jjakji?
Yes.
jjakji is in the lead 4-0. Best of threes, best of fives.
Okay.
Has not lost to Nerchio before. Is this going to be the day that he loses to Nerchio?
We shall find out. Nerchio, I mean, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good in his previous series. And, you know, small little birdies tell us that he's practicing a bit harder than he was in the previous year. So that's important here for Nerchio.
I'm expecting Nerchio to do well this season. I mean, if he doesn't advance from today's group, he'll definitely make an appearance in the Premier League again for sure. But Nerchio has spotted that his opponent's got the Reaper expansion there with the overlord that spots the command center timing, and he has opened up for this hatchery then spawn and pull build himself. Gasless so far, a little bit different compared to Live Zerg.
Just going to poke on, have a little bit of a look around and see what's up. And, well, he's only really going to see normal things. This one drone pops out right next to it, but instantly goes to the extractor. So that little drone in his egg was given a heads up, having a little bit of a tickle on the side of that egg, and decided to save himself. Good stuff for you, drone. Good stuff. Run away.
Every little ling you can get. It's funny, when Reaper opening started, it was like, how many drones can I get? And now it's like, how many lings can I get? Because you're not going to get to the drones anymore. And this is a very queen-heavy play coming from Nerchio. Strengths and weaknesses, we kind of talked briefly about it before, but a key strength is that you focus very heavily on mineral income. You get 4 queens early, which means you have a good solid 2-queen defense, and then also can start creep spreading nice and early. But the weakness of it, you're not going to get Zergling speed for a long time. But on this map, the third base isn't that far away from the natural, so you should eventually be able to push with queens to take your third base once speed has been taken.
Gets another 2 lings and gets right on out of there. That Reaper saves itself from the impending doom of these queens, but he hasn't been able to get in and see any gas geysers. If he sees 2 queens at the front spreading the creep, then he might be tipped off to the fact that it's a 4-queen opener, and that will certainly help him in assessing the situation. But for a now on Habitation Station, it's really, really difficult for these Reapers to get into the back of the natural, never mind the main.
And great harassment from these Reapers, by the way. Just bringing down the queen health a little bit, then retreat, re-energize, heal up, and then go in once again. And keeping, more importantly, a third base away from Nerchio here.
Yeah, doing well with that.
He may not... Well, it depends on how he tries to get this down. He's trying to squeeze it now. Can he squeeze it? Yeah, nice use of the queens.
Whoop. Very, very nice zoning out. They do spot this in the end.
Ooh, these Hellions. You are adventurous.
They are. They're doing
You guys want to travel the world.
How much do they get? They get themselves a few kills already.
4.
Actually, 6 in total. Ooh. This is fantastic here by jjakji. It's the weirdest little opener that has been found, but 8 kills.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really, really good. Great sacrifice of those 2 Hellions. Brings the economy down quite a lot there.
Meanwhile, the other 2 Hellions down to the third base have been spotted here. It's not as big a threat now since they're not with others, but again, he did well with the initial one, so you can't blame him.
And jjakji's build's very solid back at home. Just 1 gas into the 3 command centers, into adding on barracks before engineering base in replacement of that. We'll take the 2nd gas now. We'll look to add on the reactors to the barracks that he has, the one that doesn't have the tech lab, of course, and then throw down the double engineering base. Just a very solid opener from him. And he is going to use these Hellions and Reapers together to put a bit of pressure onto Nerchio, who is about to start his 2-2 upgrades and layer, 1-1 upgrade, sorry, and layer at the same time, which is very solid as well. But obviously, he's taken a small little bit of damage through losing those drones earlier.
But it comes back to what you were saying before at the very, very beginning of this map, that gold bases as thirds are really not often taken, and we're seeing that here from Nerchio.
We may see jjakji take his third there.
Yeah, it's a good point to rally down towards in terms of being aggressive towards your opponent's natural dislocation and just trying to push on from there. So the gold's nice for Terrans on this map once this happens.
Yeah, definitely. And if there are any assaults to try to break the third base there, he can just throw down bunkers on that flat ground area below the third base and defend it there.
Yeah.
But overall, this game is shaping up to take place for the longer stages, with the double engineering bay working on the 1-1 upgrades. Unfortunately, trapping an SCV behind, that happens a lot. You put the engineering bays right at the back, the top left, and then one SCV gets stuck.
Yeah.
That happens quite a lot, surprisingly quite a lot. But overall, pretty solid. As scan goes down, sees the Spire and Bailing Nest coming in. Big Nest a little bit late here, actually. Would have liked to have started bailing speed by now as the layer completes, which does mean that jjakji's first push with the first 2 medivacs, which isn't too far away, is going to do quite a bit. Because of the late bailing speed here, you can target down bailings, and if bailing speed was done, then obviously it's not going to be as effective. So definitely a big focus point for jjakji in the next couple of moments.
Nerchio is looking to extend his creep as best he can do, with quite a few active creep tumors already. I would say he has about 8 or so starting to push across this map. And if he spread these all in the directions that he is, this creep gone unchecked could be very, very powerful. So jjakji has to be on his toes about that.
Yeah, and look where Nerchio's taking his 4th, as expected, towards the south. You don't want to have to deal with a Terran player in the middle of the map.
But it's already spotted. This was a good pickup here by jjakji, positioning that Reaper for the anticipated move.
So obviously it's good not to have to worry about the gold base as Nerchio now, or not have to worry and defend it yourself, but what he will is drops in his main base. Because jjakji's going to be pushing through the middle, but if he's dropping the bottom of the 4th base, it's very spread thin. To be able to defend the main and the 4th can definitely be a hard time for a good Zerg player.
He's actually going to walk straight onto creep here with quite a lot of this. He does know that Centrifugal Hooks is not finished. He's going to split some of these Marines up where he can. Loses a few.
Yeah, great pickup there. Really great boost and then movement with the Marines and pick up and drop.
Does have to be careful, though. He can't stick around for too long because there are 13 Mutalisks about to pop.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Oh, Banelings.
Focus 1, Focus 2, Focus 3, and run away.
No Baneling speed, by the way. Still no Baneling speed or 2 to upgrade starting. All this gas went into these 13 Mutalisks.
This is, yeah, you're right. That's quite a lot. And now he's going to clean up this creep at the outside and just get off creep from this point on, because otherwise you're going to get hunted down by the rest of the army.
Great clear up there and out in time. jjakji's setup and structure with all his barracks are fantastic. Nerchio's not looking too shabby himself, to be honest. He's deflected this now, pushed this back, and he does have access to the 3rd. No turrets yet. This is really good for Nerchio.
And even if he did have turrets down here, they wouldn't have been done. They're all up at this top right-hand side, not really covering too much. I guess he was anticipating maybe bringing the bio there to actually fend that off.
Yeah.
But
still no bailing speed, though. Big, crucial point. Despite these Mullahs doing really well, no bailing speed can almost be forgotten at this point because you're like, yeah, I got that a while ago. Because it was mistimed with the bailing nest being late. But okay, he has now got it, which is very, very good. But double drops to the south, Claris. No overlords, no creep. This is going to be spotted last minute. And we could even see the 4th get killed.
Yeah, that's the weakness of taking that spot. You're right. You mentioned before that it's very, very spread out. But all of the creep that comes from your 3rd as well even, is so difficult to get spread out to have proper vision down there.
jjakji doesn't want to just send it in by itself, though, because then you run the risk of Nerchio saying, oh, there's a drop coming. And he spots it immediately. If you can distract him, then it's at the best. And he's going to move forward with double drops to the north while he has these 16 Marines down south.
Ooh, but the Mutalists, they hit those 2 medevacs if they have to... he could have killed that, but he's actually being too preoccupied down to this 4th base.
And he can pick up and just sacrifice his units down south, but do well in the main. But Nerchio is turning around in time.
It's so strange. This has been turned on its head. I thought he was going to clean up the north, but the distraction was really down to the south. This was really, really well done here by jjakji, who gets himself quite a bit of damage done.
Yeah, gets some, and Widowmine's buried there. Quite a bit of damage dealt. Good trade-off there, because of course he's just continuing to build up well himself. And as mentioned, that's going to be the difficult point for Nerchio, is defending his main and the 4th at the same time. But so far, so good. He's got a lot of good upgrades coming in. He's about to finish with 2-2, likewise as jjakji. But he deals with that. He could have taken a lot more damage there, to be fair.
More Banelings are going to morph in here. Centrifugal Hooks is done for this army, so he does have to be careful about where he takes an engagement. But right now, the creep's been kept back on this north side, pretty far back into Nerchio's side. So it's not breaching jjakji's side, at least, which is nice for the Terran.
Yeah, it's a decent creep spread. Really decent.
Yeah.
But still, this is just a regular setup. They both set up their infrastructure very, very well. And it's going to come down to the fights here. And that's all the Widowmines.
Oh, a lot of damage been done, but they really don't kill off those Mutalisks. And that's a bit of a loss.
Zerglings, though.
I'm really getting the total. Well, he's able to replenish nicely. One thing that's damn for sure here is that Nerchio's really keeping an eye on his...
for free.
Where are they?
That's a lot of units.
Oh,
that was
that is
too
a
many
lot of
units.
units.
16 Marines just instantly killed off. This is an opportunity for a fight here for Nerchio, potentially.
Oh, especially if he's getting even more medevacs. Oh, he got another one, and 2 of those are very, very low. There's only 4 medevacs out on the field here, Sean.
Yeah, this is really good for Nerchio right now. There's been too many units wasted, and Nerchio's looking great.
Oh, there's a few Widow Mines here. Do get a few kills for themselves. A few Banelings do end up falling, but there's really not that much bio at all. Since 94 army supply against around 50 or so here now, as jjakji has to sit back in his bases, and he's getting chased down here. He's going to lose so much.
He's going to lose the game potentially, Clutch. He's dropped majorly in supply.
Oh,
he's lost too many medevacs, thrown away into Nerchio's Mutalisks, and Nerchio's bringing a very good performance today. This is the Nerchio that we expected to see a lot in the previous seasons. He did show it in Season 3, but Season 2 and 1 last year weren't that. Today, he's already shown his class against Protoss and is beating jjakji in game number 1 here.
And he's keeping an eye on these drops over on the right-hand side as he, well, they're going to get shut down as well. Everything that Nerchio's doing here is right, as he's got those 8 gas gases across these four bases. He would ideally like to get a 5th at this point, but right now he's containing jjakji and doing pretty well for himself. This is strong.
And jjakji is in major trouble right now.
And he's supply blocked as well, so he somehow has to get out of this whilst all of these engagements are going on. The Widow Mines are not doing really what they want to do. There's not that many Marines left over, only 20, and if the Lings and Banelings are able to support these Mutalisks, then they could actually do a lot of damage. Ah, but you're killing a Marauder there for a second.
Yeah, good Widowmine hit, but it's just not... jjakji's lost steam. He's lost a lot of workers on that 3rd base. He's just lost steam in the middle of this game. He lost his momentum, and Nerchio's been on full attack mode. And it's not going to stop either. There's no infestation pit. It's just going to be morph, 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 build, 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 attack, 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 attack. Sickest strategy.
And it's working out. It really is. 3-3 is on the way for jjakji, but this game could be over before that even comes to fruition, as all Nerchio's going to do is continue the pressure, continue pushing on against his opponent. And those Banelings, they don't really get the connections that they want, but Nerchio has to be careful, actually. He might lose a few Mutalisks there.
Yeah, but it's a 2-base Terran right now.
Yeah.
It's really funny that jjakji's doing so well. It's only 2-base Terran. There was a big mistake from Nerchio, actually. I spotted it. There's like 300 or 400 gas that wasn't mined from his 4th base extractor, which means obviously he wasn't bringing in the biggest of gas. There's only just recently been taken.
Yeah, this one.
But 20 Banelings getting morphed in. There's a decent Widowmine spread, but if jjakji's able to secure this 3rd and 4th, the game turns around with 3-3 incoming. Nerchio has to end the game. If he's not going to tech up to Infestation Pit and Hive, he has to end the game now.
Yeah.
He cannot wait any longer. His opponent is hurt. He's down in supply. Nerchio needs to finish the game in the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, things can turn around. With the Planetary Fortress on the 4th, yes, things will change around.
And especially now that 3-3 is about to complete here for jjakji. So that's going to put a big, big dent in these units if they go for a direct engagement. And, well, there is a drop on this right-hand side that's trying to pull Nerchio back. It's buying jjakji a little bit of time.
And jjakji set up the trap of all traps on the gold base.
Where are we looking? Uh-oh.
The trap of all traps.
But the funny
if
thing...
the Mutalisks die to that, which is very inviting if you're not looking closely.
Yeah, it is. Because the missile turrets are in such a weird place. It's like, well, I guess I'll just hit the open spot, but he's actually hitting just the missile turrets.
Okay,
he realized.
Okay, that's enough. He realizes now.
Yeah,
but look at how many Banelings he's got. 3-3 completes, which does help jjakji out quite a lot in these fights. But with the Baneling count he has, it's almost like showmanship. He's like, yeah, I had this game won really early on. I'm just going to crush you with Banelings.
42 Banelings.
That's a lot of Banelings.
That's more Banelings than there are Marines out right now, Sean.
Yeah.
That's a scary spot to be in, and all the Widow Mines were way out of position to actually try and deal with this. Drilling Claws is finished, and they do get a few of those Banelings on the right-hand side, but over to the left, I mean, jjakji has to be very, very careful. There's still tons of Banelings.
Yeah, and Nerchio's just going to crush that planetary. No mining. He's got a lot of Banelings to turn around and fight here as well. Doesn't want to waste them all on SCVs.
Yeah, his income's still looking good, and jjakji's is rapidly falling now as his army is super, super strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of money from Nerchio right now in the bank too, so he can easily build another 100 Banelings.
Drops the scan and sees what's going on, and 31 are now on the way. But you're right, I mean, in the end, despite having 3-3, jjakji's still having to play this out as hard as possible. It's very hard to deal with Nerchio, who's so well set up.
I would say jjakji's income's below 1,000 right now. Must be, right?
Yep. It's not looking
800,
good.
900. He's only got that gold basis mining. His mains run out, his naturals run out, and he's about to retake this with his natural command center. And there's a lot of Banelings again, and things are going to get blown up.
54 this time. That is a lot of Banelings, Sean.
Detonate the Banelings!
Kaboom! Well, at least he lifts up and runs away, but I don't know if that's going to save the entirety of his army. Widowmines need to get great connections, and actually they will catch a few of those Banelings on the move on through here. All the Marines splitting on backwards and once again trying to keep them all alive, but he's still only got 21 Marines against this, and the Zerglings are helping out these Mutalisks very, very nicely.
Viva la Poland!
GG! Wow, Nerchio takes game number 1 in this top winners bracket series.
And again, jjakji drops his first game against a Zerg player. Did it earlier versus Live Zerg, and again has been toppled by Nerchio, which means he does have to win the next 2 games in a row.
Big difference, though, between the first game that he was playing against Live Zerg and then this game. We saw Nerchio playing this out really, really well. Just keeping an eye, keeping hunkered down and good to go, and transitioning on brilliantly. His macro was really good.
Yeah, really, really good game there from Nerchio. And he never showed his late game. He didn't want to go to the Hive. He thought that he could just close it up, and rightfully so, he did close it up in the mid stages of this game. But now we go over to the next map, which is Frost, which is better, I would say, coming into this. It's a lot harder. Well, actually, I say better, but I mean, I don't even think Habitation Station's that bad of a map for Terran against Zerg. But it was, there was just mistakes there. That jjakji made. Picking up in front of Mulus is never good. The double drops, the 4 medivac drop that was, 2 in the north, 2 in the south, didn't do the damage. And that drop, by the way, is the same drop that 4GG does game in, game out, and 4GG makes that work, but jjakji couldn't. And from that position, Nerchio was able to bounce quite back into the game.
Well, as you say, next map's going to be Frost here. And it really does depend on the spawning positions. I mean, Nerchio could quite happily play exactly the same game out. Yeah. I don't think he will deviate too much from Ling Bane or Muta.
There definitely are all-ins that he could use, we saw Live Zerg, but I mean, I think he's quite confident on this map to do well. It depends on spawning locations as well.
Yeah, you're right. He could bring something aggressive to the table. But now we'll find out in just a second. He's currently 1 game up against jjakji. A lot of people pegging him to go through as first place in this group, including myself. So we may end up cursing the guy. But Nerchio, man, he's working hard. It's clear that he's working hard because that game looked very, very strong from him.
Yeah, he is looking pretty good. And in recent results, he's been performing quite strong as well. And can this be the first time that Nerchio can beat jjakji? Because they played a lot just in the last couple of months in team leagues and online cups. Because Nerchio has always been a player that plays in all the online tournaments. But jjakji, having since moved to Europe, is playing in all of them as well. And is winning most of them, if not all of them. So he's making his little pocket money on the side, playing these Zotac and Go for StarCraft cups. And they have met like 3 times in these cups. And every single time jjakji's won. And really, there's no difference here. It's still online. It's playing like it could be a Go for StarCraft cup. Maybe, of course, a little bit of added pressure because this is the World Championship Series. But can Nerchio finally beat him?
You win yourself some good money if you advance onto the round of 16. Obviously, you get some as well here in the round of 32. But the steps up really get going as you move on here through WCS Europe, as we do have spawning up to the top left-hand corner. Currently 1 game down again in TVZ. It is My Insanity's jjakji. And down to the bottom left, we have the Polish player looking to advance on. It is Asa Nerchio. I would really like to see Nerchio have a good 2014. Because in 2012, I was like, wow, this guy's pretty awesome. And then 2013 came along, and he really didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I would like to see the resurgence of Nerchio. He always looked like one of the best foreigners, the best non-Koreans all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a long time. I know in recent times, before Stefano retired, there was like, is Stefano better? Is Naniwa better? And now it's all about, is Naniwa better? Is Scarlet better? But there was a time that obviously, soccer fans will note that there was a period as Stefano was on his rise to the top that people like, is Nerchio better or is Stefano the best? There was that time.
There was.
And the record was actually in favor of Nerchio when they played against each other. But may not, of course, the longer time went on, Stefano got more and more titles, so it clearly went over to Stefano. But Nerchio was definitely one of those, especially at the end of Wings of Liberty. That's when he was at his best.
Yeah.
When Zerg was at its strongest, is what you can say.
They did well for themselves.
They did very well for themselves. And Nerchio was one of the frontiers. His great defense, because it was all about defending in the early mid-game to get to Broodlord Infester. That's what Wings of Liberty was. And he always had some of the best defense in the early mid-game and always got to where he wanted to be and always won at the late game.
One of the most impressive finishes I remember for Nerchio was way back when in, I think it was the 2012 Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom.
Yeah, and Cologne finished second place.
Yeah.
Lost to MVP in the finals.
Yeah, and that was the time when MVP was really bringing that like Banshee mech into style, into fashion, and beating all of the Zergs with it really, really hard.
Yeah.
They were having a hard time with it. They eventually started adding corruptors to deal with it, and I'm like, this isn't going so well, guys. It's not really working. So it was very, very fun to watch that. And Nerchio, ever since then, he's had a place in my heart.
And hopefully he can, climb up there with innovation with Scarlet to represent Acer really well this year.
Yeah.
Looking at these two builds then, so we have Command Center first from jjakji. Different from the previous game where he did open up Reaper Expand, but not different from the previous series where he did open up with a Command Center first. On this map as well. And Nerchio's gone over for hatchery, then spawn and pull. And most likely won't take gases for quite a bit here. Very similar to the last game. He knows it's Command Center first. He knows the only threat is going to be the Hellions when they come out. There's nothing before that can threaten him.
And aside from that, Mr. jjakji, with this gas going down, it looks like we'll just see straight up to that factory and just looking to control creep here with some Hellions eventually. So I'm wondering how well that'll work out, because Nerchio's creep spread during the last game was pretty darn good, especially down to the bottom position. jjakji was cleaning up nicely to the north, but you need a good amount of control, because if you want to press bases across 4 locations, you have to clean up that creep, otherwise he gets a big, big heads up.
I definitely prefer if Nerchio was cross positions. I think he would have been in better shape on this map, being further and further away from his opponent, and divide the map equally between them. But in these positions, it can get tricky for sure. For sure. That's what they say in America. For sure.
Yeah, they do.
It can get tricky for sure. But we have 3 command centers coming in for jjakji. Off 1 gas. So it looks like his go-to build here isn't too greedy. It is, of course, 3rd command center, but it's not. He didn't skip the bunker. He got some supply depots down. He isn't going to get the engineering base from what we've seen so far when it comes to how he likes to play, and he will go over to barracks. But Nerchio has opened up with 4 queens. 3rd base, decently timed here, considering. But it, of course, is against command center first, so there are no Reaper Hellions to slow that down. Yeah,
and he hasn't really seen a whole lot. The SCV that was heading over to that bottom left-hand corner didn't really get a chance to see any queens. So
why hasn't he got Zergling speed?
I guess he might actually go up to range. That would be weird, though.
Well, the thing is, it's a greedy version. He doesn't need range upgrades, but he can go straight towards his 1-1 upgrades just a little bit faster. And then get Zergling speed after.
Then, yeah, because he feels he doesn't need it
But then if
now.
he skips it altogether, then sure, could play Roach style.
Yeah. And in the end, I mean, Nerchio really doesn't know a whole lot about his opponent as well. He did see command center first, technically, which was nice for him. So I guess he feels that, yeah, you're going command center. Oh, nice block. But I guess you're going command center first, so I don't really need speed to deal with Pers or anything like that. So he's just going to hold on up front against Hellions with queens.
Yeah. He doesn't, I mean, you can skip Zerglings for a while. He's got his 3rd base down, he's got queens, as you say. So if it gets skipped for much longer, then it's a mistake, obviously. Roach One comes in here because I think that's more, I'm pretty sure it is. It's more of a safety Roach One. He doesn't really know if it's Blue Flame Hellions or anything along those lines because he hasn't been able to scout the 3 command centers, unfortunately, due to his overlord placement. But if I'm looking at jjakji's build, did he add on the double engineering bay? Yeah, he did. Before the barracks.
Yeah.
So he's actually changed up his build a little bit here, realizing that Nerchio's builds aren't quite as scary as Live Zerg's were because he's not getting the gas early. So he felt he is safe to get the engineering base before the barracks here, which again plays to him being more greedy. Kind of similar to Nerchio here. They're both playing very economy focused.
And these Hellions just poking around, and they finally do get full confirmation of this 3rd base going down, but they could have pretty much inferred as to what was going on. It would be very strange if the 3rd base wasn't down by now here for Nerchio, but of course he's not going to transfer drones until those Hellions have been dealt with. And
Zergling speed being forgotten this late is starting to become a mistake now, by the way.
Well, you're right. I mean, certainly with the melee focus as well, it's like, why would you be getting melee focus otherwise? You do want that. And there we go. It does start now. So it needs to keep on top of that.
But overall, I mean, every single Terran versus Zerg, apart from major build differences, they're always going to be the same. And this is a very similar game, once again, coming out from jjakji. And Terran versus Zerg is almost played mechanically rather than strategically if you play like this, which means you cannot mess your build order up, you cannot screw anything up, Otherwise, you do fall behind, and it is all about the macro. It's all about building a big army, building it fast, and playing really well. But I'm looking at Nerchio, and he's decided not to get the Spire early on, and he's also decided to get Roach Speed. The thing that's missing is a Bailey Nest to actually complete a Roach Bailing Assault. So with 2-2 coming in, where is the Spire? Zergling and Roaches alone, obviously not so good. So he either needs to choose the Spire or the Bailey Nest, surely.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of Roaches he's building.
That is a lot of Roaches.
This is a little bit weird from Nerchio, but it still builds a very powerful army. He's only getting melee upgrades, by the way, which is also another thing. That,
I mean, one thing...
He's got a lot of Roaches, Claris.
Yeah.
A lot of Roaches. Hardly any Zerglings.
One thing I was thinking that is, if he shows speed that late, because the Hellions saw how late that speed was, technically. Maybe it was a little bit of a mind game, but this is hard.
Okay, I know exactly what Nerchio's trying to do now, but hold that thought. I'll come back to that in a sec.
And these Roaches have to be very, very careful about this, as they may get caught out. But Galera Constitution's about finished, so he will be very, very mobile off this.
He's going to turn around and be very aggressive himself, and if he can break the third base of his opponent just with Roach and Lings, then he can actually go up to Hive, get to Ultras, and then just surprise kill him. That's kind of his strategy right now. And Nerchio could do this. He's going to force the evacuation.
But the double drop here does see the Infestation Pit going down at this particular time. Could even bring that down, but if he starts the Hive very, very quickly off this, and that is important. The Roaches and Lings, though, also pressing at the front. Army supply 68 to 59. There's a few Marauders in this composition. Just 1 or 2, though, that are going to try and hold this at bay, and they will get the Infestation Pit before he even starts Hive.
These bunkers need to complete.
They really do. Unit counts, how many do we actually have out here? There's quite a few Marines left over, but most of them are over the other side of the map, trying to do some damage as well. This is doing a lot of damage here.
Yeah, this has turned a really weird game. Obviously, there was a strategy to this, but it's turned really funky. And these Roaches are doing so much damage, but I think they'll eventually get cleaned up here. They don't live forever, unfortunately.
And even the drones come off the line to fight against this drop. The 2 Queens were actually focusing down the Medivacs, and that was a very, very good choice.
Yeah, and this is eventually going to get worn down here. How many more units does Nerchio have, though? Because he's still up in supply.
33 Zerglings that are piling across and getting in, actually. That's bad news bears here for jjakji. He only has 13 Marines and 2 Marauders out, but he needs to keep on top of his production. 7 Marines and 2 Marauders popping out at any time. Should be able to hold on. Yeah,
and he's going to have to pull up to the natural here by the looks of it.
He picks up some SCVs there as well. That's very nice there for jjakji to just try and keep as much alive as he possibly can do.
But Nerchio has lost a lot. An Evolution Chamber, a second base.
He's going to go to the third. Get a few SCVs
jjakji's actually boosting over there not to lose a lot. And it's only Zerglings, remember. They don't have the best upgrades. Only 2-1.
Yeah, and wait a minute. He got the 2+2 armor.
Yeah.
So that's a good pickup there for him, at least.
And there's Zerglings everywhere right now, on the natural on the third, but jjakji is starting to stabilize. He is definitely starting to stabilize in this game, and with the layer being on the natural too, remember, that has to get restarted as well, so he cannot rebuild the Spire or the Infestation Pit. He doesn't have a Bailing Nest, and he cannot get Bailing Speed either, so it is, right now, only Zerglings available, with the Roach Swarm being killed as well, which is very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
It was an oversight of me not to mention the fact that the layer went down and it was on that natural. I figured that, it was just the Infestation Pit, but the layer being there as well. I thought that the layer was at the main and, you can't start the Hive there to try and go up to that. So it was all these knock-on effects really, really hurt Nerchio in the end. Bad times.
Yeah, definitely bad times now, because this next attack we can see move out from jjakji. I don't think Nerchio's going to be ready, because he needs some form of splash damage to deal with the heavy Marine and Marauder count, and he doesn't have that. And that's going to be the problem in this next fight when they engage.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the available tech to him. This is going to be hard to deal with. This army is going to pack a huge, huge punch, especially if jjakji controls it as well as he normally does. And the second Roach Warren oh no, wait, that was the first Roach Warren. But anyway, there you go, GG guys. I mean, that wasn't going to go well after that was held off in the end.
Yeah, and I definitely see the strategy that Nerchio was going for there. Though.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But then jjakji turned it around with the double drop and kind of countered the strategy that he was going for. But with such heavy Roach play, if you break the third, which was broken, and then you don't lose all your infrastructure, you can go up to high from that point, and you can play a Ling Infester, Ultralisk very, very fast if you are able to stop the Terran economy, which he was going to do. It's a cool strategy.
It's a fine line that you tread, though, right? Because of the Roaches don't have any upgrades. That mid-game power has to come from numbers alone.
Yeah, but it was like 20-odd Roaches. And at that point, the Terran infrastructure of all the barracks from that greed isn't quite running yet. It only gets running at like the 11-minute 30 point. I think it's 11 minutes or 10:30, 11 minutes when all the barracks are all ready to be used. At that point, it's almost too late.
Well, that means now we are 1-1 apiece here, as we move on to Daedalus Point to find out who advances on to the round of 16 in first place in this group. jjakji tying the series up, doing well for himself against that, but a lot of that was, once again, like Nerchio's decision-making. It's like, this is the build I'm doing, you're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, it was the counter drop. jjakji's shown he's very good at counter drops at the same time. He defends and is able to squeeze out the drop at the same time. It happened to LiveZerg when he played the Roach Hydra composition too. It happened to Nerchio here. While he was moving out, he lost the lair, evolution chamber, Roach White, infestation pit, lost a lot of his key structures. And was not able to bounce back after it being defended. And
if you're the aggressor as a Zerg in these positions where we saw Live Zerg on Daedalus Point and now Nerchio on Frost, you are focusing almost all of your attention on making that one big engagement work, that one very, very important ultimate engagement.
Yeah.
And for neither of them, this really works out here. So we are going to get on to game number 3 in a second and find out who advances on. I am looking forward to this. It could go either way, but I'm still going to stick in the camp of jjakji, I think.
Yeah, we could have 2 Terrans go through if jjakji climbs in first place.
Don't get too crazy there.
I know. I will settle down, but we could have 2 Terrans in 2 days go through here. But we also could see Nerchio go through in first place. It's really up in the air, depending on what they choose coming into this next map on Daedalus. But both looking good. Both looking with performances that would warrant a place in the round of 16. But who chooses and takes first?
It's a crazy thing to see that these Terrans are advancing on. But they're pretty good Terrans in the end. Bunny was a bit of a surprise. But in the end, jjakji would be less so. So let's get into game number 3. As we now find out who's going to advance on. Will it be this man spawning up to the top left as our blue Terran, representing my insanity? It is jjakji. And down to the bottom right, we have our red Zerg. It is Acer Nerchio.
That's right, Acer Nerchio. Daedalus Point here. So we saw LiveZerg play against jjakji on this Roach Hydra play. Nerchio's actually been very fond of that strategy throughout his StarCraft 2 career. Has used it a lot on maps like this. Derelict Watcher, this map he's used it on a lot. So we could see that come out from him, but with jjakji moving out so early with an SCV here, he's going to do this old school style. He's going to go for 2 barracks.
I wasn't quite expecting this, but from jjakji's point of view, he has a series in hand, right? Normally when we're talking about these kinds of things, like, yeah, he's 1 game up, he has a game in hand, it's fine. So he has a series in hand in this system, so why not, I guess, in the end?
Well, this is going to end fast, usually, one way or the other. So 11 barracks and then a second 11 barracks here. And every game we've seen hatchery first. We've seen no drone scout from Nerchio every single game so far. So
plump. All right.
This is going to be good. So he's going to have to bring SCVs with this too. He cannot just use the 2 he has. And the Overlords, that one, the natural, is going to leave. It's not sticking around, so it's going to swing around. 2 racks is so uncommon now that you used to, when it was common, always leave the second Overlord for extra vision range around your hatchery so you can spot a bunker being made. This could be a very fast win.
The weird thing about this is that I actually don't think it's one of a really common map to do this on, because normally when you do this on a map, the drone's coming actually down to scout here, which is kind of important. Oh, but he's making it look like it's not happening. But the thing is that there's not a huge amount of room to start walling places off with multiple bunkers. So it's just the one committal bunker.
And the thing is this could look like a Reaper expand still. The SCV usually can come with this. The command center isn't there, and the SCVs are being pulled off. And now Nerchio's going to know. He's going to know this is a bunker rush.
Yeah. And that's a lot of drones coming. That is a lot of drones coming. He is taking no risks, no chances.
Bunker is going to die pretty fast here.
You are toast, bunker. Or Marines. Oh, he's going to go straight for the Marines. Ooh.
Well.
So rounds 1. Oh, no. Gotta be careful.
SCVs are in the mix now. This makes it a lot harder to do that.
Good control here so far by these Marines. They do take a bit of nibble damage. Stop getting nibbled. Oh, great surround in the end. How many is there?
That bunker, though, is finished.
The bunker is done.
And there are 2 Marines and 2 more coming. 10 Lings, though. Doesn't want to let them...
Around.
Oh, doesn't want to let them get in.
Get him. Get him. No!
Oh, he didn't want to let that one get in, but he only lets one in, and he will stop the other. That's really, really nice. And now the 10 Lings that pop out can surround the bunker. This is a good defense so far. Really, really good defense from Nerchio.
It's down to 9 workers against 14, but
and these aren't going to get to the bunker.
Yeah, he needs to get there.
No. Oh, okay, that's the second one gets in.
And he's trying to repair as best he can do, but this has been surrounded, and he's focusing down drones. Oh, there's so many weak ones. It's 6 against 11 now. But the bunker's going to die. So it does get cleaned up eventually.
Yeah, this gets cleaned up here, and drones are going to have to be raided, but Nerchio took a lot of damage, lost a lot of drones to this.
This Marine is doing nothing.
And it's over. So Command Center will be built, and surprisingly that we don't see this too often, the game will go on. And a Command Center will follow this. You just have to make the wall off with supply. If you've made it Command Center, you could take too much damage over time as you can't repair while building.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of Marines that go behind the supply depots as well, so...
And they're important to bring back. If you don't have those and those Zerglings start being annoying on this wall, you're losing quite a bit there. Those 2 Marines will hold him on for now, hold him strong.
14 SCVs to the drones. There's no queens. Oh, another barracks.
Ooh.
Devilish. Oh, a 4th one.
Oh.
Evil.
Well, we know where this is going.
Yeah, this is just going to be another attack here. And this is kind of smart considering if he's able to identify that Nerchio is so far behind on drones, when are you going to get a Zergling speed or Banelings? You know, it's a long time away. He needs to get drones next. This could get spotted though with an Overlord, which is heading up north.
Good. It's going to take a while, a little while, but not a huge while. Because obviously he'd want it to be accruing Marines here, really, really banking up quite a few of them that could get spotted as well.
Yeah, I would definitely have had a Marine down at the bottom here to try to protect this from being spotted. 4 barracks is a big commitment to Marines here.
Oh, he's moving one.
He may get a tech lab on 1 barracks and go combat shield, and then try to do this with combat shield, which would be very strong. Even if there is Zergling speed and Banelings, that would be very strong.
These Marines on patrol should be able to at least ward the
yeah, this is very
away.
good. This is going to hide this from Nerchio.
And the thing is that if you're in Nerchio's shoes, you don't really want to sacrifice an Overlord in because of the position you've been put in.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to make any extra units than you would have had to initially. So this is going to be difficult.
And Nerchio can, I mean, not Nerchio, so jjakji can actually move down soon. He's almost got enough Marines where he can move down and still keep his main base protected, which he's actually going to start to do now.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is combat shields. I have a feeling it is.
I think so, yeah.
So with combat shields here, he'll be aiming to move out with 30-odd Lings or 30-odd Marines or so. And you need a Baneling Nest. You definitely need more than just Queens, obviously. Zergling speed can make it work if you have enough units, but ideally you need a Baneling Nest.
And he's being very careful about how many Marines he actually pushes on forwards here. He doesn't want it to look like it's too many Marines to really sell the idea that he's just going into a normal...
And Nerchio is catching up and actually overtaking quite convincingly with the worker count and the economy. But it still applies that he needs gas. He's been playing a gasless style so far. He's going to take a 3rd base. And actually, one of the best follow-ups to a command center first, which is probably why jjakji is doing this, is 3 command centers. And it looks like he could be hiding his 3rd command center, which would make Nerchio play like he's playing. But with combat shield done, we're looking at 23 Marines. And more will just waypoint over, and then you're looking at up to 30 by the time this attack hits.
And he's got no vision in the middle of the map. This is going to be a catastrophe for him. He's making a few Zerglings to really try and keep an eye on things. But
and that scan is so scary for Nerchio, because it's like... Oh, Nerchio sensing the Overlords. He realizes.
He realizes now.
He sensing the Overlord. He realizes that scan is like, I hope you're not all-inning me. But this is like, no, I'm actually coming to kill you. And this may not be stopped.
Yeah, that's way too much. He needed a Baneling Nest or some kind of defense set up for this. Too many Marines. Way
20
too many.
Lings coming in, which is a lot. But with all the reinforcements coming over, he's going to get worn down. Then you got +1 attack. You got all the reactors come in, the factory, the 2 command centers. You get in a good position with the... GG. GG.
Well, there you go. Congratulations to jjakji, who advances on in 1st place here in Group B onto the round of 16. It was close, though.
It was close. It was close, but overall, jjakji, I think, played that out really well. As mentioned, one of the common follow-ups to 2 barracks is 3 command centers. So Nerchio, in that case, is fine to play what he did there, but that's not what happened, and that's why he lost.
That's true. So good job for jjakji, who advances on. We now have 2 Terrans guaranteed in that round of 16.
2 Terrans and a Protoss so far.
Yeah, they're doing all right for themselves. All right, so we are going to go to a break, and then when we're back, we'll have more StarCraft awesomeness here from the World Championship Series, your Premier League.